Round 5, the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're at St Moritz, high in the Swiss Alps, in the stunning Engadin Valley. For more than 130 years, they've raced down the road between the towns of St Moritz and the village of Celerina. And so they do again today in the most historic of all tracks. Hello everybody, welcome to Ground Zero for ice sliding. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me at this fabulous location, John Morgan.
The track that they've been building for over 125 years up here in St Moritz. It travels down the road to Celerina, and it's still the only natural ice track that they ever build on tour now. And they've got a different edition of the track. This first curve's very different than anything that we've ever seen here in the last decade. This rest of the track, though, we're pretty familiar with. The wall curve. It's a long, 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 narrow straightaway. You can see the ice walls. It's just built out of snow and ice. The wall curve tries to push your way to the left. You try and maintain that curve with no steering. Here, the snake curve. Tricky, sunny, big sweeping right. Now you have to go to Nash and Dixon, named after the two British athletes who won the Olympic gold medal in Innsbruck in '64. Now into Horseshoe, the most famous curve in the world. Exit with a slingshot effect if you're lucky. Telephone. Look at the names on the curves. Shamrock, Devil's Dyke. The names on the curves have been here for over 100 years. Bridge, a lot of challenge to the athletes right there. Now you're only going about 85 miles an hour in a Gunner Sachs, named after the Swiss industrialist who used to be married to Brigitte Bardot. Portico, the finish curve. Still some time to lose here in the finish as you exit right here and through and down. Martin, this is the birthplace of the sport and a place we really like to come to.
Yes, there's never a bad day in St Moritz. Rico Peter, Alex Baumann setting the track record in the Swiss Champs on New Year's Eve. Air temperature up now to -3 from the overnight low of -20. Ice -11 degrees. That's 1 degree warmer than it was at 8 o'clock this morning. So the ice is a constant here. Takes a while to warm up the Alps, I gather. There is Francesco Friedrich with his back to his Torsten Margis. Nico Walter there up in the sunshine at the start area by the changing rooms. Sandis Prusis in the black Latvian jacket. Rico Peter with a good chance to move into the lead of the World Cup rankings. He's only a dozen points or so behind Yun Jung Wong of Korea. And Oskars Melbardis, winner on this track 2 years ago in two-man, might have a chance here as well. Well, our start draw is 30 sleds deep, so you've only got a 2/3 chance of making the field. We're going to send 10 of our sleds home, one and done. Crispin and Nick Poloniato of Canada will be the first two out, and down towards the tail of the field, Oskars Melbardis 28th, Simone Bertazzo 29th, and Dorin Grigori of Romania will be the last to go in the first heat. Now the frost of the morning has gone, so shouldn't be too much of a disadvantage going early or too much of an advantage going late. First of our 30 sleds at the top of the track. Chris Spring of Canada getting ready to kick off the 5th race in the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. Neville Wright behind him. Springer 13th last year, 16th the season before here in his two-man career in St Moritz as a driver.
Coming off a knee injury. You see the brace he's got on his right leg there. Came off the plane in Dresden when they came across, and his knee was all swollen up. Spent a week in the Dresden hospital. Competed last week under a limited capacity, but he did have a 3rd place finish in Lake Placid, so a very capable first man down the hill. see
Spring seems to got his mojo back. He had a bit of a slump last season and maybe a bit of the year before.
And that big boy Neville Wright gets in, no problem. The start speed of the left, keep your track of that, 57.3, which equals out to being 35.6 miles per hour.
Neville Wright back from 2 seasons away from the sport this year, and it looks like he's never been away.
Usually when you're the first man down the track, you got a big advantage. Not here. This is the only natural track on tour, and it's not an advantage to come down. After a bunch of sleds come down and sort of create a shine in the track like that there.
Well, you can see those marks from the women's race. Katie Humphries, 100th out of gold, the first heat leader, took the silver medal about an hour ago.
Speed, keep your eyes on that, 110 kilometers, 68.5.
So that is 68.5 miles an hour, over 125 kilometers an hour now. The speed building all the time, over 83 miles an hour through Sachs.
He looks very comfortable, has had no
90
issues.
miles an hour plus.
88.8.
Peak speed there,
track record as expected.
0.6 miles an hour.
Lyndon Rush, the coach, looks on, and you know the Springer, who's probably at 80%. Neville Wright, start 5:13. We're going to see a lot of great starts. I don't think that's going to be it, though.
The start record is 5:12, set last week in Europa Cup by Germany's Pablo Nolte and Christopher Weber.
The climb into Horseshoe. Okay, now watch how the runner tips come into view here. Look at them. He hardly steers. Look at that. Barely any kind of steering. Proper line, exit into telephone. Slingshot to the bottom.
Not a bad view like
that. He
Not a bad view from that horseshoe bar there either. Nick Polignato with Derek Plug behind him. Plug formerly one of the Springer's crew.
Get around that first chink. Nice. The men are having a lot easier time of it getting through that first curve than the women did this morning. 57 kilometers, so they're 3/10 of a kilometer down at about a quarter of a mile an hour.
Bragging rights between the Canadians at the moment, going to Derek Plug. They started 100th quicker than Springer and Neville Wright. Don't think he won't mention that.
200s, yeah, Springer's got 200s on him at the start. But it's a pretty good start for Nick. I think Springer's still hurt. Good lines here. See how high he gets.
Polignato's first weekend here in St Moritz, his first year in the World Cup, only 700s away.
That's not bad. Nick doesn't have as many trips down the track as Springer. 9 back, so he continues to lose time, but it will tap there. It will cost him, probably get out to 1500s as he gets to the entrance here. 13 speed. Let's see what he 88.4. Boys, that look fast.
Good speed.
19 back. That's a good run for Nick.
Nice and smooth. Only a couple of little errors. Lyndon Rush on the right, liking that.
Nick got a breakout year. Won one of the Canadian selection races. Canadians got a pretty good pool of athletes with him here. 3 sleds.
Lyndon Rush, a 2-man winner on this track in 2010, tied to the 100th with Andre Lange.
Look at this little tap. This is down out of bridge into Gunnar Sachs and into the finish. He gets over here on the right wall and taps again between Martineau and Portago. You see the ice crystals come up, but that was a pretty clean run.
Yeah, nice job. There's Nick Polignato. Third of our sleds is from the Czech Republic. This is Jan Verber. Jakub Haflin on the back handles this weekend. He's a big boy. Look at the size of him. He's going to struggle to squeeze into this sled.
Runners come up a little bit. That means pressure's going to put more pressure on the nose when you lift the runners up like that. Ooh, when he got in there, I don't know if it was smooth.
New Eurotech sled for them in the 2-man this season.
5:18 at the 50 meters.
And the start, third best, the velocity, not even 57. But both Canadian teams had over 57. But Vribel, very accomplished driver, and has more of a personality in the 4-man, more of a success in the 4-man than he does in the 2-man. Watch the line. High? Nope. 2400s back, that's relative to the start. He's holding in there because he's 500s down at the start, and the 24 there. Still bleeding more time, and He will be third.
68 miles an hour, 68.5 was the top speed there. Big slide.
That's a no-no.
It's going to be about 3 miles an hour down in terms of top speed.
5,500 top, 143. That's 89 miles an hour. The best speed has been recorded at 90.6. You're right, Martin. I didn't see that. There's 2 speed traps at the bottom. The second one, 90.6 miles an hour in a 2-man bobsled.
Is that quick enough?
You know, there's no... I mean, these things are bare.
4-man sleds go faster than that. Yeah.
And it's smooth. It's so smooth. The athletes don't feel the speed, they say. It's just so smooth on this natural ice. And here's a couple hits between Martineau and Patargo. Look how fast they are. Beautiful pictures.
And all that woodwork, that's the bridge that's built to go across the Cresta run. Maxim Adrianov of Russia with Ruslan Samitov behind him. Adrianov currently lying just outside top 10 in points. He's been 11th to 15th all season.
Oh, he had a push bar. That's going to be costly. 4th sled down, 4th best speed, 4th best start too. Very surprised at that. These guys, Russian teams have been improving at the start, especially the women's teams. Celerina was with mixed top 4 start times this morning in her 6th place finish. And the Russian sleds, they have been flying on the bottom of any track we've been on this season.
See the fan there quite surprised at how quick the sleds come by and how close you can get on this track.
Those 3,800s back, that's relative to the 1,100s down at the start. He might be able to stop some bleeding here.
Well, even this early in the run, we now start to have to look at who might not make the second heat. Jan Verber of the Czech Republic is likely to have Andrianov behind him.
Yes, Andrianov can do something here in the bottom.
4/10 off the leader. He's going to be more than half a second adrift.
Third.
Oh, 42. Found some speed at the bottom that the Eurotech sled didn't have. Look at the brakeman wrestling on the handles. The sled bounces around.
The Russian sleds are fast on the bottom of any track we've been on this year, especially in Altenburg 2 weeks ago. Every one of them came down. This is the first of 3 we'll see. They just have great speed in the bottom part of the track, which is a lot to do with driving. And here's the mistake. Look at this. This is why he's struggling. How much is that worth?
Now remember, Segova, her handle was out. She waited till the sled drifted away from the wall before she flicked it back in.
So 2 Russian sleds with that problem.
Markus Treichel for Austria with Franz Esterhammer in the back handles. Treichel the second of the Austrian drivers.
Nice.
Good to see the Austrians expanding their team as well when it almost fizzled out entirely last season.
Look how low he gets. You can see some shoulders back there from Franz. His brakeman, we probably shouldn't see them.
But then again, we're high up with that camera view and the wind isn't.
Well, the wind's not friendly to anything over the top of those shoulders, that dirty air that comes off the back of the sled. And here, when you're going 90 miles an hour, there's a lot of emphasis on aerodynamics.
Started 5:22, same as Andrianov, but he's currently now behind Andrianov and Jan Verber on the splits.
Yeah, a little mistake there out of Devil's Dyke.
Looks like a BTC sled, so he should have decent speed at the bottom. His teammate Christina Hengster finished just out of the medals in the top 6 today.
You know, this is the least experienced pilot of the 5 that have come down.
Maybe with the exception of Nick Polonyato, they're both sort of on the foothills of their career. Alfred Meyer on the left, Franz Josef Hoffmann on the right. Franz Josef Hoffmann. Need to borrow somebody else's teeth for the second run.
A lot of bobsleds left, Martin.
No kidding. Be 50 sleds in this race by the time we finish.
This bottom part of the, this is up exit of Horseshoe, then down into Devil's Dyke. And here he sneaks over in that right-hand wall, and that little pinball effect there. Don't think it's not taking away a couple hundredths. But he's an inexperienced pilot.
Chris Spring, the leader, 5 of 30 sleds down here in St Moritz. Stephen Holcomb of the USA with Carlo Valdez behind him, his preferred #1 starting brakeman. Not sure, but I think Carlo's done every two-man race this season, probably all the four-man as well.
No, he's last week at Altenburg, Carlos had the week off in Winterberg. Start for Holcomb, fourth best start. Let's see the velocity, fourth best velocity, but he gets through there pretty good. Well, Holcomb's had a lot of success in this track.
Landmeyer's Taylor had a win in the BMW sled in the women's race this morning. J.B. Grubel-Poser third.
1100's back. That's relative to the 800 start deficiency. Good lines there. Here, let's see how high he gets. Medium.
Silver medal last year.
Here he comes, 11-3, 111 kilometers. Best speed. So this is what Holcomb, this is what this guy does. He's a speed merchant. And
this is looking like his best run of the season.
Don't want to jinx him. He hasn't touched anything yet. He did have a drift there. Speed here is going to be important. And he's got unbelievable speed. 90.8 miles an hour for Stephen Holcomb. Carlos Valdez. Now remember, there's 24 more sleds to go. The later you go, the better track conditions are available to you.
These two took the silver medal last year on this track, beaten only by Bert Hefty. Hefty is also in the field.
Watch these lines. Watch the transition here from horseshoe into telephone. He might have got in a couple inches early there. You saw his head come up. But you can't fault what he just did.
Well, things to tidy up for the second heat. Always good news. Okay. Alexei Stolnev for Russia with Kirill Antuk behind him. Kirill returning to the World Cup fold in the last couple of weeks. Stolnev lying in 5th place in the World Championship, World Cup standings. 4th place last weekend, his best ever two-man result.
And he was 5th in the four-man. This is one of the Russian pilots that has had a great breakout season. His brakeman Kriel is got a sister that won a silver medal in London, and track and field, the sprints. And I asked him when he came in for his headshot shoot, is she still competing? He said, no, finished. But they have a good track and field pedigree. The whole Russian team all comes from track and field. 1200's back. Wow, the Russian sleds are fast in the bottom. I bet you he's got a chance to pick up on that deficiency.
Well, Holcomb came from 9/1000s back. Gap goes out though.
Good speed. Ooh, tap there is going to cost him. Devil's Dyke on the entrance. 20, follow more back. So
4th on the splits behind Nick Polignato of Canada.
Surprised. Double hits there, but he was bringing it back from 20 to 19. Probably will have good speed.
Up to 3rd on the splits.
Ducks his head, second
at the line, ahead of the Canadians.
Don't count the Russians out on the bottom part of the track. They do find speed, and with that, he started 400 slower in Holcomb and ended up 1900s back. A couple mistakes though, down on the bottom.
But see how much they found in the last 2 corners. Same as the girls did.
Okay, it comes off there late, which means he hits coming into that Devil's Dyke, which sets you up for speed. Then down here on the straightaway after Gunter Sachs, a little wave and a drift. Don't think that wasn't worth at least a 1/10 of a second.
Dong-Yoon Kim of Korea is our next starter. This is the 8th of 30 sleds in the first of 2 heats in St Moritz two-man race. Jung-Lin Hyun behind him. This is one of their brand new Hyundai sleds for this season.
Start, best, speed, only the 3rd best speed. The brakeman, to me, jumped in the sled with both feet, and that's the sled rocketed. So I don't think he had a clean entry or power step into the sled. The best start time, they had the 3rd best speed of the exit of 1. So I think those two are probably what happened there. Down to 4. That's Nash, Dixon. Now let's see the line. He's on the wrong side. Now he comes over to the left.
Best result so far this season, 6th place on their home ice in Whistler.
Speed, nothing like what Holcomb had.
A better 4-man driver still than he is in 2-man. His 2-man game has come on, but Might just be that he's gone for a little more control with the two-man rather than ultimate speed.
He's done very well this season. He's had a lot better results in two-man than he had last year. That tap there and exit of Martineau. Pretty good run.
Fourth place, can't argue with that.
Speed, wow, 90.2 miles an hour. Just think the next time you're going 90 in your car, how far up you are off the ground where you sit. These guys are inches off the ground. There's no real suspension in the sleds. There's no shock absorbers. But this track is so smooth. Now watch the start. Now watch the way the brakeman gets in here. Power step, get in clean with a cat-like movement. You judge whether or not this is smooth. See that? Double hit. He comes in. Look how low he gets. Great.
Takes a lot of bouncing around to get that low. Swiss sled of Rico Peter next up. Seconding World Cup points by a whisker from Yoon Jung-won of Korea. And Rico Peter with a great chance here. He's in such good two-man form this season.
Big Swiss crowd. Boy, look how quick the brakeman's in there. And the best start. Let's see if he gets the best speed.
Alex Baumann, the brakeman,
second best
on the winning sled last season behind Bert Hefty, so he's got Hefty's favorite brakeman.
But when I asked Rico about it, I don't do so well at St Moritz. I remember last year he didn't have very good results.
He's not had a medal here in two-man in his life.
Okay, slingshot, ooh, a little drift. Slingshot onto the bottom, but give him a chance. Speed of 111. He's going to need the speed of 111. Does not have that speed. Next clock, it could be red.
Needs a track record to take the lead away from Stephen Holcomb.
3. Well, this is another one going to be like this morning's race when Kelly Humphreys lost by 100th of a second to Alana Myers. This will go right to the 100th.
Holcomb 91.7 at the bottom. 90.8 is the maximum speed for the Swiss. He won't get him at the line, will he? Oh, he does! How did he do that?
Yeah, I like it.
How did he do that? 90.8 maximum speed.
Best speed so far.
1 mile an hour slower than Holcomb, and yet he found another 500s in the final corner.
Well, he didn't hit between Martineau and Portago. Let's look at the line. Look at how the brakeman buried in there. And look at the runner tips. You can see him coming off, getting off the curve, the outlet. Now watch the take on the telephone, the smooth transition, and then you slingshot to the bottom part of the fastest track on the planet in Europe.
For Germany, next up, Francesco Friedrich. 3 two-man races this season. 3 two-man wins this season.
Put your seatbelt on. A track record at the start.
Oh,
there it is.
Squirrely, but great start.
Speed, though. First, well, that beast he's got on the back.
Martin Grotkopp having another two-man start.
He switches the beast. You know, he's got 2 beasts and he switches them back and forth. And all he's done, he's been in 3 races this year, 3 gold medals. What he did in 2013, the World Championships here, became the youngest driver ever to win a World Championship. I can't say it enough. This guy is on course at his age. 5-6 more years, he could be matching Eugenio Monti's legendary 7 World Championship titles.
Still 2 tenths ahead of Stephen Holcomb.
But not the speed.
Nope. Half a mile an hour slower.
Coming back a little bit.
FES sleds were very fast in the women's race at the bottom for Mariama Yamanka. Is this an FES? I don't think it is.
No,
maybe it's the new 20.
No, it's not. Boy, he hit twice there.
1300s up, 6 at the line ahead of Rico Peter. Another track record tumbles.
But he beat Peter by 1300s at the start. He beat Holcomb by 1500s at the start. And he's only ahead by 6 and 1600s respectively.
Maximum margin was 2200s up, finishes only 600s up. That speed at the bottom of the track, ebbing away.
Yeah, but look at this start. The huge man in the back. Let's watch his power step into the sled. Friedrich, one of the best athletes in the front seat. Look at this big man. How smooth was that? Yep. Speaks for itself.
They run a long way down into this first turn these days as well. Makes it tough for the driver. Francesco Friedrich leads here after the first 10 of our 30 sleds from Rico Peter of Switzerland. Next two sleds on the ice here in St Moritz are first and third in the World Cup rankings. This is Korea's Yoon Jung-won, our points leader, yet to win this season. Just one bronze medal.
And the Korean brakeman, and again, his entry in the sled was better than his teammate, but still both feet forward. And he has the 5th best velocity at the start off a 2nd best start time. I think the Koreans got to do a little work on their power steps entries into the sleds. But he's already won once this year, correct?
Not in a two-man.
Not a two-man, but he's been on the podium twice. Once.
Bronze medal in Whistler. And the only thing that's keeping Francesco Friedrich from storming away in the points lead is that they did not race the Germans, any of them, in Lake Placid. Otherwise, he'd be 4 for 4, chances are.
Speed is way off the pace. He's going to be 6 to 10, probably going to be 15 at the next clock, and he's got perfect lines.
Between leader Francesco Friedrich and Rico Peter at the moment. Now he slips behind.
Does he hit here? Yes.
And at the line, 4th place behind Stephen Holcomb by 200ths of a second.
And he beat Holcomb by 1400ths at the start. And he went later than Holcomb.
Wow.
Yeah, so maybe these sleds from Korea, the Hyundais, that are a combination of the BTCs and the Hyundais, maybe they don't do well on this natural ice surface track, but there's only one of them. The line, look at the line, look at the brakeman buried in there, look at the driver turning his head. You know, he's just, look at his eyes focus, look at the rudder tips, you can see him now, he goes back to neutral. Watch the heads transition here onto telephone. Ooh, he had a little bit of a steer there that didn't look natural.
Ivo Danilovic in the blue hat, their driving coach. Alexander Kasyanov next up. Russian silver medalist in Altenburg.
Watch out for this guy. Start is going to be deficient. 9th best start, long time of speed. 9th best speed. Wow. Now he's in a deep hole, but like I mentioned in the first 2 Russian sleds, they got speed in the bottom. And this is their best Russian power.
300s faster at the start than Alexei Stulnev, who lies in 5th place at the moment. And at the moment on the splits, he is down in 8th position.
Watch the exit. High. 30. Way back. He needs to stop bleeding. No speed.
No sound of any hits or taps here at all, though. Good exit out of Horseshoe. Why is there no speed?
No speed for the Hyundai sled from Korea and this Russian sled, which I think is a Walner.
1 mile an hour too slow, 2 miles an hour too slow, very nearly in the final corners.
He got it back. I mean, he came back.
Yeah, but that's a 10th slow that we've just seen from Yoon Jung-won.
But he 1700s down at the start to Friedrich, equal to Holcomb, and he's 1200s behind Holcomb.
Nearly 2 miles an hour deficient in speed in the final corners.
Now, you know, the brakeman, it's so important for the brakeman to have a power step at the start. Watch the brakeman. Look at that little, ooh, another slip.
Yep.
You see that? That would look really weird cadence and cohesiveness coming off that block.
And at that stage, he's hanging on to the sled, trying to catch his balance as the brakeman, as the driver's pushing it. So that's why they didn't have the faster of the starts.
Or the velocity.
Justin Cripps for Canada next up. Cripps hasn't had a 2-man medal on this track either. Pierre Luders used to win quite regularly here. Lyndon Rush, the coach, now has.
They can just send him off, standing right behind him there. Look at the 3rd best velocity off a 3rd best time. Canadian sleds have a history of doing well on this track, and if they do as well as the Canadian skeleton team did yesterday, women's skeleton, they went 1st and 3rd and 8th. They had 3 sleds in the top 8.
Winning margin for Mimi Reniva in her first World Cup victory. Very nearly 2 seconds.
They should have arrested her for speeding. Ooh, up on the lip.
Great line, though. Holds it down.
2400 back. And he also has the worst speed of any sled we've seen so far. And that little tap couldn't have cost him that much, but look at it now. He's really bled some time here.
9th place on the splits, behind his 2 Canadian teammates.
Wow.
10th place on the splits. This is a horror story for Justin Cripps, and yet he has hardly hit anything.
10th best time. There's going to be some head shaking going on now.
Okay, that wasn't an uncomfortable drive. Nick Polignato here for the very first time in his career was faster than Justin Cripps.
Well, Cripps had a very confusing weekend in Altenburg, and I think he's going to have another confusing weekend here. Look at up there in the lip. That's okay. We can live with that. Look at the rudder tips now as the sled exits. You know, how much steering does he have to do? Still climbing. He's on the late and the curve. Look at the rudder marks. Look, he had to really steer hard to come off there. But he had no speed.
Lumsden behind
had
him
some
looking
of the
perplexed as well.
Worst speed we've seen of any sled.
Oskars Kybermanis of Latvia with Matis Miknis. Kybermanis really stepping up this season, out of the shadow of Oskars Malbardis, who's been injured since surgery midsummer. Oh, look at that, a 5 flat. Talking to Ekmanis, yesterday's Intersect Manis,
58.
Miknis, a former basketball player.
This kid has won 2 bronze medals the last 2 weekends in 2-man. He had not medaled in his previous 3 years on tour. He's one of those young decathletes that they pulled off the streets of Riga and put him in the front seat of a bobsledding. This kid has got talent.
He's only done 2 two-man races this season, bronze in both, on a hat trick. And leading still by 7.
700s, but no speed. Another guy, Holcomb had another kilometer of speed here, so this is going to be back close to red numbers here.
Leading double world two-man champion Francesco Friedrich by 400s, still
bleeding. Tap. Another tap. Watch him in the crossover here. It's dead. Can he get through here clean?
Can he have better speed than the German sled? Will he lead at the line? No, by 100. What a drive, though, from Oskars Kybermanis.
Young gun here, 22 years old. Remember this name. This kid gets confidence. Watch out next year in Korea. The Latvians are going to have 2 formidable sleds in the 2-man competition because they'll have the sleds with the best starts. And when this kid figures out how to drive, watch out.
Intersect Manis telling us last night that the Latvian Bobsleigh Federation is fighting athletes off with a big stick because their success is bringing people in from everywhere.
A little bit of a drift here out of the Gunter Sachs.
Not bad, though.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Kybermanis 100th out of the lead and looks disappointed. Johannes Lochner next up with Christian Rask behind him now. What's Lochner going to do? Silver medal last weekend behind Friedrich.
But a different brakeman though. Rask in there, let's see what he does. 5:06, not bad for the guy who's won 2 World Cup 4-man events consecutively. His first 2 ever gold medals. And what did he do when he came to St Moritz? His first trip down, he crashed in Horseshoe.
Yes, he did.
So this track, as easy it is, even the best in the world.
Only 2 crashes in the whole of training. The 3rd sled, I think, down the ice, Johannes Lochner. And then Lamin Dean on the final day of training crashed out the finish corner.
Watch the speed here. He's going to need 110 and change high. Oh, he's got the time. 111.2, best speed we've seen of anybody, even with that tap.
Heading home to Königsegg, Bavaria next weekend, but at the moment, this is looking really good.
He's starting later than the other teams that are in front of him. Taking advantage. Only 1 mistake so far at the exit of Shamrock. 2200s. This is big time track record.
Halfway through the field, Johannes Lochner is blowing them away. 105.40.
Hello, rest of the field. You know, the first, second, third separated by 100. There's 5 sleds, second through. There's 4,500 separating the top 5 sleds, and then he's out 2,900s more in his own.
This is like yesterday's skeleton race, isn't it? That is a big, big drive from 4-man specialist Johannes Lochner.
That's the only mistake he made, was down in the Devil's Dyke, Shamrock to Devil's Dyke.
Puffing and panting here at nearly 2,000 meters of altitude.
26-year-old just coming into his prime.
Talking about coming into his prime, Benny Meyer of Austria almost gave it up 2 winters ago. Now On top of the world, Marcus Sammer behind him. He has given up driving, says he's a much better brakeman than he is a driver.
Start. Not bad. 5-0. Awesome start. Speed. 4th best speed. So 5th best start, 4th best speed. It's getting more sun on that start track up there. We're going to start seeing better starts. This Meyer had a coming out party here last year when he won a silver medal in the 4-man competition out of nowhere. It was the European Championship, and it was the week before the World Championships in Innsbruck. Boy, did that light up the media back in Innsbruck in his hometown. And he's been great the first couple events in Europe this year. He's got 3 5ths in 4 races.
Not sure if an Austrian has even had a medal in St Moritz this century. Not in 2-man. Afghanistan might have done in the 4-man.
He was 4th in the Altenburg World Cup.
Yeah. That was a big race for him as well.
Oh,
a bit drifty, but still in 4th position off a 5th fastest start. At the line, 4th, 5th ahead of Holcomb. 5th ahead of Holcomb. No, tied with Stephen Holcomb.
Tied. He beat
Good
Holcomb.
run.
He beat Holcomb by 1300ths at the start. Little mistake down below.
Good run
another
from
young
Benny
guy,
Meyer.
another 22, 23-year-old. A lot of young guns in the lineup in bobsledding now. This being one of them. This is down below out of Gunter Sachs, a little late. Trying to accelerate to get to the 90-mile-an-hour mark.
Late pressure off the corner, just steps the tail out. Johannes Lochner goes off to offer his congratulations. And we are into the second half of our 30-deep field now with Ugis Alems of Latvia, Jānis Jansons, another of their new brakemen this season.
Another Latvian talent. Ooh, see, that's the entry into the sled. Good start, 5:09. Let's see the speed. 9th. See that altercation when the brakeman jumped in the sled, that altered the direction of the sled, took away the speed. So he had the 7th best start, the 9th best velocity.
300s to 1700s, the gap has grown significantly into Nash and Dixon. Good run up to Horseshoe, vital here.
Nice line. Ooh, he might have hit the crossover.
Just heard it. There's so much more than you see even here. 2800s back.
And he's only got 109.8. That's almost a kilometer and a half down to Holcomb, or to Lochner.
1.2 miles an hour off the top speed. 82 as he exits Sachs and building fast. 89, 90.1 miles an hour.
Doing good with the speed at the bottom.
1.6 away from the top speed, but an 8th place run. And again, the Latvian coaches will be happy with that from Ugis Alems, who's their newest driver. Kibamanis lies 3rd, Zalems in 8th position. So both sleds down so far in the top 10. And they still have Oskars Melbardis to come.
Well, you had that altercation with the start. And then here, look at this. This is, look at the back end of the sled. All the pressure going on the nose there. Too much pressure, too much friction. Now the sled climbs a little bit too high there too. So he made the worst exit yet.
Brakeman on the right, how much do you think it takes to bounce him up in the air? That energy not going forward. Justin Olsen and Austin Landis, one of the new boys in the US team this season. And is this Austin Landis' first World Cup start?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
See if they get in, we can get around okay. Not too bad.
5:13
start.
Well, it wasn't the most cohesive.
14th best speed velocity, so not a good power step between the two of them into the sled, because they both should be better than that.
Justin Olsen, his second season driving, has been to St Moritz before once, I think.
He's won a couple events here. Steve Holcomb's 4-man sled, the night train. In the lead up to the 2010 games.
This is a real test for a driver of still hands.
Watch out.
Doing as little as humanly possible.
2 hits, 3 hits, 109 speed. And those weren't taps, those were hits.
1.5 miles an hour slow in the forest. 15th place on the split times.
4 hits. He's way back. He'll have a lot. He'd be lucky just to make the cut here, I think. 15th. He only beat 3 sleds so far.
3 sleds behind him at the moment, and there are still another 12 to come.
Now we can start doing the math. I can pick off which ones are going to beat him. There's 1, 2, 3,
not a
4.
High line, late apex, very late apex in horseshoe. And from there,
look at him leaning out of the sled. He's trying to lean to get himself down. Look at the articulation on the sled. When you see that split happens, that's a lot of pressure he's doing. He's not happy.
No, might well make the second heat. Here is Nico Walter of Germany with Eric Franke behind him on the 2-man sled today.
Well, we haven't seen Eric back on the 2-man, mostly the 4-man brakeman. Let's see what Nico, he's going to need in the teens here.
5:13,
nice.
Not a bad getaway from them. Justin Olsen off the
look
list
at
to
this
start in
velocity
13.
though.
Ooh.
7th best start, 19th best velocity. 9th best start, 19th best velocity. That's... Boy, I didn't see how they got in the sled there, but obviously not with speed efficiency.
Little skid out of wall into snake.
1800s back is not too bad.
8th place on the splits off a 9th place start. Low line in horseshoe, but a nice exit. 2500s back though, up to 6th place.
He doesn't have speed, 109.4. His teammate Lochner had 111.2 there.
Like Olsen, about a mile and a half too slow.
But he's holding on, he's staying
6th place, but the gap time-wise is widening. 3/10, he's up to 4th.
Place did not make too many mistakes on this run with that deficient speed at the start. Wow. 90.1 speed puts him ahead of Rico Peter, 20 Mile, Holcomb, 1.
Well, the silver medal battle, Friedrich, Kiebermanis, Walter and Peter covered by 6 whole hundredths of a second.
The leader had the best start time, 2nd place had the 2nd best start time, the 3rd place had the 1st best start time, 4th place Walter, 9th best start time. So his start deficiency cost him a chance to be in the top of the leaderboard.
Well, Rico Peter in 5th had the 13th start time, and he's still only 600ths out of silver.
On the bottom part of the track, though, if they showed the speeds, we would have seen him right up there.
Ooh. Very fast getaway for Cody Basky with Frank Del Duca behind him, the 3rd of our US drivers.
Wow, 20th best start time. That's going to be tough to overcome right there.
Johannes Lochner for Germany, the race leader in the first of 2 heats here in St Moritz. Cody came to the World Championships in 2013 here, didn't he, as a spectator? So he saw the track, spent a couple of weeks here in the Worlds before he ever got to sit in the sled and drive down it. Still relatively inexperienced in St Moritz. 20th place at the start, still in 20th place. Now he may really struggle to make the cut.
Yeah, I don't even think his teammate Justin Olsen will make the cut either. So
Olsen 16th.
There's 5 sleds coming that are talented. Look at that big hit there.
Was ahead of Marcus Treichel. That might just knock the wind out of his sails. He'll be down in the bottom 2 or 3 of the run at the moment, and 19th, 1 behind him.
Well, he had the 20th best start and the 19th best finish. Start times in bobsledding, you gotta have them.
So 10 to come, including last year's winner Bert Hefty, including Oskars Melbardis, who took the win 2 years ago. So it might be tough just with those 2 to contend with for Cody Basky to stay in. 20 sleds down, Johannes Lochner, Francesco Friedrich, a German 1-2. Last German to win on this track, Francesco Friedrich in the Worlds 2013.
Hey, put your seatbelts on here. This is going to be a good start.
Bruce Tasker, former brakeman turned driver. Joel Fearon, the owner of the record for the third fastest ever recorded 100 metres by a UK athlete. Missed out on the Rio Games squad selection by about 2 weeks. 5:08, good start.
See the velocity.
Tasker, a relative newbie to World Cup racing. What can he produce?
Sixth best velocity, second best start.
Fifth best start, sixth best velocity. But Tasker needs to have a clean drive to put them into contention.
And we know the track still got the time in it. Nico Walter, with deficient start time, rocketed down into the fourth position.
It's looking like a neat drive so far. He was 1700s behind at Nash and Dixon, 2700s behind as he taps into Shamrock. 7th place. If he can get a top 10 finish here in, I think, his first ever World Cup race in St Moritz, then he'll be very happy. 8th place.
See if he can get up there at 90-mile-an-hour speed. 88.4.
Was in Winterberg last week, didn't do the Europa Cup race, top 10.
Not bad. It's okay.
So 10th place run behind Ugo Zalims of Latvia, ahead of Alexander Kazyanov, who lies 3rd in the World Cup rankings.
Thought that those two would get a better start than they did. Not that it was bad. 5th best start time, but this is... Great Britain has got a collection of athletes throughout its team. Bruce gets up there, and I don't think you could put too many fingers in between the bunk and look at the rudder tips.
I wouldn't want to risk them, that's for sure.
And nice exit.
Late height and well used by Bruce Tasker. Now here comes the danger man for everybody to conjure with. Winner here last year, winner here 3 years ago. And in between times, silver medalist 2 years ago and 3 silvers prior to that.
But he did all that with the best start times. Let's see what he gets here. The 10th best start. So he doesn't have as much success without the start times. 4th best velocity, though. That's a good sign.
Sandro Ferrari, one of the newer brakemen. He has taken all his medals on this track with Thomas Lamparter and Alex Baumann.
Ivo Rug. Right? That means Ivo Rug was with us last night. Said that Biat was on there for the World Championship format.
Yeah, as a driver. He's hasn't had success without Alex Baumann in the last couple of seasons.
So he's 10th, falling all the way back to 16th, doesn't have the speed, and shockingly, he didn't qualify last week in the four-man competition for the 2nd round. And
do you know what? He might be in that danger zone again here.
Yeah, he's not doing well.
Fraser used about a couple of people, twilight of his career. I wonder if that's one that we need to start thinking about for Bernd Hefty. 15th, all right, that should
get him in. That'll get him in.
And who has that dropped out? Jan Verber is in 20th.
It's
now he's bounced out.
Bascu.
Treichel and Bascu now both out of the race. So Jan Verber in 20th.
Watch the brakeman here. I'm going to show you a replay. Where's the brakeman's head up there? Look at the back.
Get bounced away. Yeah, that's about the only actual transition on the track. And
Seems to be up very high there, that brakeman. Look up very high.
Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic, his teammate Jan Verber is in 20th, so there's 3 ways this can go. Dead heat, they're both in the race. Dvorak misses and Verber stays in, or Dvorak gets in and bounces his teammate.
Good start.
Oh, that is a huge start. What sort of confidence have these guys got right now?
They're loving what they're doing. 2nd best start. Give it up to the Czechs.
100th of a second, the lead over Johannes Lochner as they sat down.
Velocity was the 4th best. Ooh, there's a slide between S1 and S2, the snake curve.
was going to say it's his first full season of driving in World Cup, but of course he didn't come to North America, so this is his third race this year in World Cup.
Speed, can he get 110 speed?
18
no speed at all. Now
bounced.
you're going to see this 19 go to about 25 or 30 at the next lap.
Well, still 7th on the split. He got bounced out of the race by Jan Verber last week to finish 21st.
He'll be 50 hundredths down. He'll be in 10th or 11th place. He'll be 55, 60 hundredths here. Just
Didn't
no
make
speed.
the cut last week, and he's going to be 9th at the line.
Good run for him. Might be his best ever.
Right behind the World Cup leader, Yoon Jung-won of Korea. Wow, Dominic Dvorak. Unfortunately, that's a bit of a double-edged sword because he has just eliminated his teammate Jan Verber from the race.
Give him a little hand, though. Great start, great velocity, pretty good drive. No speed, though, on that sled. One of the worst speeds we've seen on the exit of Horseshoe, which is why he gave up. He went from 18 to 55 at the bottom, 53.
Tell you what, if he gets a top 10, he will be thrilled. Lamin Dean likewise, with Ben Simons behind him on this British two-man sled. Teammate Bruce Tasker lying in 11th, tied with Kazyanov. We've got 2 ties already.
Well, I don't know if Lyman hit that bar the same time that Ben hit his. 15 hundredths off. Let's see the velocity. Ooh, velocity is way back.
18th fastest start, 18th fastest speed at the first split. Ben Simons running almost all the way down into that 0 kink, first kink.
So Lyman got more of a 4-man resume than the 2-man.
Crashed in training the final day in the 4-man, rolled off the finish corner. 20th place off the 18th start. At the moment, he's just in the race, now he's out. 21st on split times.
Speed is suspect. 21st,
Yep.
falling more back. But I don't think you'll see this out of him and his GB team tomorrow in the 4-man bobsled competition. The touch speed doesn't get to 90, 89 miles an hour. Good peak down. Look at the coach. You see Fabian, the mechanic, is what?
Not much to say. 22nd place, doesn't make the cut.
18th best start. Watch the sled at the start when Lyman jumps in. You know, you want to get in the sled with cat-like movements. Now watch the two of them hit. I don't know if they hit it together. Now watch the way the sled splits when Lyman jumps in with too much pressure from, watch the sled split here. You see that little rock in there? And that can't be good with you rocking the sled back and forth in those grooves. That was weird.
24 sleds down, 6 to come here. Race is full, so now you have to bump somebody or you wait on the sidelines. For the Netherlands, Ivo de Bruin and Igor Brink. Coach Tom Delahunty back with the Dutch at the moment, supporting them, and so too is Wim Normans from Eurotech, the sled builder.
Well, the Dutch had their best finish ever yesterday in women's skeleton, 5th. 24th start though for Ivo. 18th best velocity, which is a positive to improve the velocity. And
hello, Lemendine and Ben Simons. Lemendine, Ben Simons.
watch how much ice he takes here in the snake coming up, right here. How much ice? Not bad, pretty quiet. Watch the middle of the exit of Nash and Dixon here, middle. Good. Watch the line, he gets into Horseshoe. Pretty good. 6,800 back, he's driven him still in the 22nd. Uh-oh, tap before Gunter Sachs. I think this Dutch sled, he's going to 21st, but there's 3 other sleds coming down, so he's going to have to get to 16 or 17 to have a chance here in the bottom. Doesn't look good. Ivo de Bruin through and down 108. Tommy? Coach sort of expresses what happened there.
Coach Delahunty wanted to watch the video of his drive in a historic race last night. He said, I thought it was pretty good. Ended up in 10th place. Ivo de Bruin, 21st.
He's 100th out of the 20th spot. That's what he was complaining about.
Just pipped at the post. Francesco Friedrich still our race leader. But we now still have 5 sleds to come. Johannes Lochner leads from Francesco Friedrich and Oscar Kiebers-Manis. Last night, Monaco celebrated 30 years of the Monaco Bobsled Federation, and Rudy Rinaldi, their new young hope, being cheered off there in the red hat by Bruno Mijon and the blue jacket by Max Robert.
Well, he has a little bit of an issue getting in there too, but not a bad start.
Yep.
Only 700s back, but the 17th best velocity. So they went reverse. They went 7 to 17.
Well, Rinaldi raced here last weekend in Europa Cup. He hasn't done a World Cup race since North America, but he was 13th and 14th in the 2 races across the Atlantic. 15th and 14th.
3,500s back. That drops him to 11th all the way to 19th. Not good.
Well, the field there is so tight, 2/10 of a second cover from 6th to 17th.
45 isn't bad. The speed, you know, good enough for a 16th or 17th place if he has good lines down here.
16th at the moment.
Yeah, you know, Bruno Mijon coaches them. Good runners, good equipment, good setup.
And a Mijon cowl on the sled is never a bad thing for top speed. 15th position,
He's
he's in the race,
He's going to
surely.
make the race for sure. He's going to beat some pretty good people. 15th, 68. I bet you Prince Albert's smiling. Wow, and he's going to drive 4-man tomorrow.
Yep.
First time we'll ever see it. We haven't seen a Monaco 4-man in a long time.
Giselle there, standout 2-man driver of the last generation.
30th anniversary of Monaco bobsledding. What a function we attended last night. Watch them hit the sled together. You know, this wasn't a bad start.
And again, similar to Lamindine, when the driver's feet go in, the front part of the cowl rocks around. But watch the runners barely move at all.
No, the runner came out of the groove.
That's where they bumped out at the end of the
groove. That's why they went from 7th or 11th to 17th with the velocity.
Maciej Lucia, Poland, and Krzysztof Tolkowski, his brakeman, and they'll be being cheered on by their #1 fan. So hi to Agnieszka. A lot of noise at the top of the track as well to get the poles underway. Ooh, Lutti with a little skid into the wall in the first corner.
10th, probably 14th or 15th velocity here. 23rd velocity. So that little variance there as they exited the start grooves, costly. Now he's, 17th.
Well, for 5:16, he's got a chance of making the race, definitely. A 5:18 start. Rico Peter still lies in 5th place. But then Rico Peter went from 17th down into smaller team numbers. Maciej Lutti has gone up to 18th place.
Good lines here. The speed, 109 high. 109 high. He's got it. Just had 2 taps on the entrance to Devil's Dyke and on the exit.
Sword of Damocles hanging over 13. Justin Olsen of the USA. Lutti putting in a great run. And this is a little bit like Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco. Lutti having a flying run here. 11th place, a top 10 on the way for Poland's Maciej Lutti. Nice 9th place. Like Dominic Dvorak of the Czech Republic. What a run.
The coach, Janis Minins, the former Latvian who's won on this track before in 4-man bobsledding, picked up the coaching job for the Polish team, and Lutti, nice work.
Well, that's the end of the race for Justin Olsen, and now another Justin. Justin Cripps is on the bubble in 20th, and the bad news is this is Oskars Melbardis, a winner on this track in 2-man 2 years ago.
Well, he's only running about 65%.
Now, this is the first time that Arvidsfield Caster has been behind him, I think, this season as well.
He's just buying time. He's just getting healthy. I mean, this is the biggest driver in the field. Look how hard he get in the sled there, too.
Okay, oh, 5:07.
And what type of speed?
He's coming back.
17th best speed. The brakeman hopping in that sled, bang. That put a lot of pressure down on the sled, caused more friction. That's why they took that start time of the 5th best start and then the 17th best speed.
Let's see where they get to. 35.3 miles an hour in the first speed track, 54.6, exactly 1 mile an hour slower into Nash and Dixon. But 7th place, Oskars Malbardis is definitely on the way back towards the top group of drivers.
110.4 kilometers, that's great speed. This is the former world champion from last year.
4th place in the splits now, ahead of Nico Walter.
Flying.
Chasing teammate Oskars Kibermanis.
Best speed at the bottom is Stulnov, the Russian. Let's see if the Latvian can match it.
Putting Kibermanis under threat for 3rd place. He gets it. 3rd place tied.
Tied to his teammate.
Yes, Sanders Prusis on the left, loving that. 2 Latvians in the top 3. Tied for 3rd, 100th of silver.
Look at this race. 29, 30, 30, 33, and 35. You have 5 sleds separated by 600ths for 2nd through 6. That guy Lochner he's out there light years ahead of everybody in 3/10.
Wow, what a race.
Well, remember, he's going late in the heat. The track gets better as you go later in the heat.
Justin Cripps got cut. Now Nick Polonyato is on the bubble, but Oskars Malbardis tied for 3rd. Can Simone Batazzo find himself a place in the race? Bronze in the 2-man worlds back in 2007. His last medal on this track in 2-man.
Okay, don't watch the start, because this is going to be 20th. Look how early he's in. He's 70%.
Brakeman fell in there, Francesco Costa.
Okay, the speed, not going to be able to speak of. And only way he could drive himself in is what he's using all the experience that this guy's got in his 18 years of driving a bobsled. And he might be one of the best drivers in the field. He won a bronze medal on this track at the 2007 World Championships. What's that, 9 years ago?
Yep.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, next. About 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yeah. Well, Batazzo still in 28th place out of 29 sleds.
Speed, 109, 110, look at that. 28th best start, and he finds 110 kilometer speed on the exit of Horseshoe.
Still 27th.
24th. I think he's going to do it.
He might just creep in at the expense of Nick Polonyato.
No mistakes allowed. He's perfect down here.
23rd, not going to do it, surely in the final corner. Just falls shy.
So Nick, lives for one more sled.
Well, Polonyato might not make the 2nd heat, but Bert Hefty will just. Hefty is 19th. 1 sled to go. And Nick Polonyato
will make it.
Or Dorin Grigori of Romania. Well, you say that, but look at what Maciej Luty of Poland has done. Look what Dominik Dvorak of the Czech Republic has done. It's not over. Exit Horseshoe.
Everything was good here, but the 28th best start sort of sentenced you to, you have to find some afterburners down below. Simone.
It's like having a 4-cylinder engine in a V8 race.
Got him rubbing his hamstring.
Final of our 30 sleds in the first heat. Dorin Grigori of Romania. Yanel Kojan behind him.
Start time deficiency.
2 women's sleds from Romania.
He's going to be out all 28th or 29th best start here. 30th best start velocity. 30th. Hard to overcome a 30th start time. And plus you can see a lot of the brakeman's shoulders.
Every aspect apart from heart and dedication needs a little massaging here. They need more of a start. They need a little bit more experience with the driver. Perhaps the kit could do with a new set of runners.
Mistakes there. Well, you can have the best equipment in the world, the best coaching in the world, the best runners in the world. If you can't start it, it's going to be tough to compete. But the Romanians, nobody does more with less of a country that's on tour than these guys.
A little late. Got to keep keep it straight. No, long skid again, late pressure coming there off Gunter Sachs. And 30th place, probably what was expected for Romanian driver Don Gregorio, down safely with no scares to round out our first heat. And breathing a sigh of relief is Nick Polignano, because he does make the heat. Teammate Justin Cripps got cut 21st. Wow.
Cripps.
So there are a couple of sleds who have struggled to make the cut, but we didn't expect to see Romania's Doran Gregorian in such a packed field. Still one of the less experienced drivers. And with the start that they have as well, it was always going to be a bit of a tough time. So, sleds that don't make it through: Justin Cripps, Simone Batasto, Justin Olsen. But at the top of the field, Johannes Lochner, not just kind of there, but nearly 0.3 of a second clear of the rest. And the rest are absolutely rammed together. Friedrich by 100 from 2 Latvian sleds, who are 300s ahead of Valter, 200s ahead of Rico Peter, but Lochner just crushed them. It's interesting that that's exactly the word that René Spies used about Francesco Friedrich. He said, in two-man, he knows he's going to crush them. Not here, not today. He's a 1/3 of a second back. But look at that, from Friedrich down to Holcomb, tied for 7th. That and Yun Jong-won, 4,700s back. That's an 1,800s of a second gap with 7-8 sleds in it. That's going to be tight. Another tie for 11th, another tie for 13th, and so close all the way down. Just a couple of hundreds, 15th, 16th, 17th. 100th between 19th and 20th. Justin Cripps misses out by 300s of a second on the second heat. Well, brutal for him, for Cody Basque, for Lamin Dean, for Justin Olsen, for Simone Batato. But that's the way it is. First heat done, second heat still to come. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, when they are back on ice. 1,400 local, 1,300 GMT converted into your own time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We'll see you for the second and deciding heat here from St Moritz.